This Sunday we talked about be careful of the chat. There's conversations you can walk into, and there's conversations we wander into, and we're like, what are we even talking about? This is dangerous. This isn't helpful. This is bad. It's all kind of gossip. It's dangerous. It's not productive for my life. And we actually find out, man, a conversation that I had years ago, I'm still living with the consequences of that conversation. Be careful of the chat. In Genesis chapter 3, we find that Adam and Eve are talking to the serpent, and he begins to question their identity, and he questions, did God really say that? And some of us are in the consequences of conversations because we believe the lie. Did God really say? And now we're wondering, do I have victory? Was I healed? Do I have peace? Am I an overcomer? Can I have healing in my life? Am I always going to be struggling with my thoughts? Am I going to have to live in curses? Do I always have to live in frustration and pain? Am I always going to be a bad father? And because I was a bad son, I'm a bad father? We have all different kinds of things that are plaguing our mind because of a conversation, and we believe the lies and we never confronted the liar. So here's the thing. When it comes to our identity isn't something that is lost that needs to be found. It's something that's offered that we get to choose to accept. You were created to accept the love of God today. So I wore this hat Sunday, and I found it, and I bought it for like $10. You know what's crazy is you can literally go on eBay right now and find the same hat for $50 and $60. What does that tell me? Someone seen this hat, got rid of it, and they didn't actually appreciate the value of what it's worth. But the reality is the creator who created it still holds the value super high. Y'all, what does that tell you? Just because someone made a bad decision to sell it for less doesn't change the true value of what it's worth. How come? Because our decisions are not greater than our design. I may have made some really bad decisions. I may have entered some chats that I shouldn't be in. I may have heard some lies, and I may be surrounded by liars, and I may have become some things that I shouldn't have become. But the reality is my value is still greater than what other people would want to call me. My value is still greater than what things that I would even want to put on me. Why? Because of who my creator is. What God designed in your life, he will complete in your life. What God started, he is faithful to finish. I believe that today. The question is, do you believe that today? You may be on the clearance rack. You may be cheap on Amazon. But the reality is you are still vintage. You are still gold. You are still beautiful. You are still holy. You are still desired by God. Regardless of what I feel, regardless of the percentage, regardless of the value that other people would want to put on my life, I am valued by my creator. It's his value that he looks upon me and says, regardless of what you feel, I call you son. Regardless of what you feel, regardless of the voice that's in your ear, it's what I have authored over your life, and I call you daughter. I call you my beloved. I call you holy. So let us run back to the true identity that's on our life today, regardless of what I feel, regardless of the highs and the lows. I'm going to run to the security of the promises of God today. So be careful of the chat. Be careful of the conversations that you're having with yourself. Be careful of the chat that the enemy wants to throw on you. And lean in and rest. What am I resting in? I can rest in the chat. I can rest in the lies. Or I can rest in the promises, in the identity of who God has called me to be. So remember today, you vintage. You are loved, you are valued, and you have a high calling on your life. Repeat that with me today. I have a high calling on my life. I am loved by God today. That is my identity. I am a child of the one true King, and he loves me. I am his son. I am his daughter. I'm beloved by him. Have a great day today, guys. I love you. This is the message behind the message.